Vamos a iniciar el...
We are going to start our closing session. We will also introduce some news we have for you. And we would like to invite Jordi Gonçalves so that he can read the official conclusions of this summit.
Bon dia, buenos días.
Good morning. I would like, first of all, to welcome the Honorable Meritxell Borràs, Councillor of Governing and International Relations. I would also like to welcome Elisabeth Hamduch, Subdirector of the Grow C1 Unity of the General Direction of Internal Market and Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs of the European Commission. Also welcome secretaries, directors, sub-directors of the Spanish Ministry and the Generalitat de Catalunya, representatives of the Barcelona City Hall and other local administrations, deans and presidents of the different professional associations that are here, president of the Quantity Surveyor Council of Spain, director of several universities and colleges. I also would like to remind you that there are 29 universities, Spanish universities, following us, also abroad. And I also want to welcome presidents and representatives of the different organizations and chambers. Dear all of you, it's time to start with this closing ceremony of the third edition of the European BIM Summit. This closing will be presided by the Honorable Mrs. Meritxell Borràs, who is the Councillor of Governing, Institutional Relations and Housing Department of Generalitat de Catalunya. And we really would like to thank her the strong support that has given to our summit. Before we go into reflecting about our sessions, networking and workshops I've had the pleasure to attend, the organizing committee want to thank all the attendees for being here. We want to thank you and thank all the professionals, entities and businesses that have been here as speakers, and we want to acknowledge the high quality of the speeches we've heard here and also the professionalism of the speeches presented. We also would like to thank Roca and all our other partners and collaborators for their help in this event and the support for making this a reality. And finally, we also want to thank everyone who has participated in organizing this event for the intense dedication. This is the moment for reaching conclusions, and we like to see what has happened from the previous EBEs and in order to promote and implement BIM in our country. We have reached the conclusion that this year we have been able to make good use of our time. We have developed many projects, we have started many construction sites, and we have also performed operating and maintenance operations by using BIM. However, of course, it has been used at different degrees. We have also developed and generalized very important training programs at different levels so that we can provide the knowledge to all the sector. And we have also consolidated different outreach initiatives and research initiatives that have actually joined different events like EUBIM, BIM Technia or the European BIM Summit. The public administrations have allowed us to see how the BIM Commission in Spain has started being fruitful. They have published 8 documents that have counted with the support of different stakeholders of the sector and also the support of Mr. Íñigo de la Serna, the Public Works Minister, and also the President of INECO, Mr. Isaac Barbero. In Catalonia, we have also moved forward and we have kept evolving with all the work that the Building the Future Commission is doing. They have already defined a plan with 88 actions to orderly implement BIM, and even the Catalan government, the Generalitat government, under the leadership of the Territory and Sustainability Council, has created a cross-cutting commission to implement BIM in the public administration, and they have started working on a white paper. All these initiatives, together with many others, are being worked also in other regions. We also need to touch upon the effort that many people do on a voluntary basis, all the BIM task forces. For example, GUBIM-CAT is a good example of these task forces because they have created a system for classification, the GUBIM class version 1. As you can see, we are moving forward together with the BIM processes and methodology towards an industrialization of the sector. We want to go beyond prefabrication and we want to implement processes that will make our work more effective. This way we can reduce the possibility of improvising and we can also reduce all the related claim costs. Basically, during all this time that has gone by between the second EBS and this third EBS, we think that all the stakeholders of the sector, all the administrations and professional organizations have sped up. And while there's still some important issues that need to be tackled, like, for example, funding national plans so that the construction sector of Spain and Europe can be at the same level methodologically and technologically as in other continents, so that we can still be efficient. We still have a lot of work to be done regarding the outreach and implementing this collaborative methodology. That means we need to undertake a cultural change for the project, the on-site, also the implementation and the maintenance, because this way we can say that we are moving forward in the right way. We also need to mention the technical summit that Building Smart International celebrated in Barcelona last April. This is celebrated twice a year and it has really met all the expectations. There was a full attendance and we have been able to show the good health of the Spanish chapter. Also, thank you to the enthusiasm of the President, Sergio Muñoz. From the European BIM Summit, we think we need to keep working and increasing our implication in order to do more BIM outreach. For this reason, we are happy to say that we are a reference point for BIM implementation in Europe and the rest of the world, but we have also decided, together with the EU BIM Task Group, to create the European BIM Observatory, and that will allow us to monitorize periodically the evolution of the BIM implementation. Finally, I would like to add something else. We cannot really postpone anymore the implementation of a real culture of efficiency and respect for the environment that is based in the transparent collaboration between all the stakeholders that take part in the complete life cycle of a project. We need to do so that we can have an efficient use and a responsible use of public and private resources, and especially the natural resources. We feel that we need to help and contribute to this. This is our responsibility. We cannot leave it for future generations. We needed to start changing our paradigm yesterday. If we didn't do so, today is the day to begin. This closing session just marks the start for the 2000 EBS. We are already working for that, and we hope we can have all of you there so that we can keep working and having the EBS as the fora and meeting point to talk about BIM internationally. Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Sergio Muñoz, who is the president of the Building Smart Spanish chapter, so that he can briefly touch upon how we will structure the information of the European BIM Observatory.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and the authorities, Elizabeth Adam, the Chancellor, and all the participants who are putting up with this intense session. As Jordi was saying, the EBS is not a Beam at Use event, but it not only brings closer the best international experiences on the use of Beam so that we can all learn and create a learning environment based on sharing knowledge, which is an implicit part of the Beam concept. It also pretends to set the to pave the way for all actors and stakeholders to boost the use of Beam methodology. As in the first edition, we had the manifesto Beam card. In the second edition, we had also very interesting conclusions. And this year, we have gone one step beyond. And as in any other sectors happens, for instance, the PISA report in education, we thought that in our field, it would be interesting, considering the implication of so many countries, to have a reference framework translated into this observatory. We want to have an overview and to assess the level of maturity of Beam on the members of the member states of the EU. And in order to do that, we have to elaborate some indicators and metrics that assess and evaluate on these parameters on a continuous basis. We aim at the creation of a useful tool at the service of policymakers to have a qualitative and quantitative analysis of what's being done in the different countries, both at a private and public level, and to gather information and data that we already know, right, on making Beam mandatory or not, the stakeholders, and standardization of information. The concept is, as I said, a gathering of indicators that must be clear and useful for everybody, both for the public and private sector, who implement the Beam methodology. In order to achieve that, it will be necessary to take into account a series of parameters and factors that must be comparable, because at the end of the day, our vision is to contribute or to make our sector more transparent, competitive, efficient, and sustainable. This is something that we launched from the EBS. Of course, we cannot do that on our own, and we need the support of agents such as the EU Beam Task Group, who have the needed resources and channels to get the information and to channel it. And also other entities and organizations specific of the different countries, organizations that can provide us with information that will be useful for all the members. So that will be it from my side, Ignacio, and now I give you the floor, and I hope that this session will be, this initiative will be interesting for all of you. Thank you very much. Well, I just wanted to say, or to give you a last piece of information to conclude the European Beam Summit and to assess the impact that we may have had in this day and a half, or maybe 2 days, and considering the session for students. There have been more than 700 people assisting. We've completed we filled 3 rooms with interesting speakers, up to 70 speakers coming from Canada, India, the United States, Finland, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, etc. In our opinion, we widely met our expectations, and maybe even more than we expected. For the next edition, I am pleased to announce that the invited country will be Germany and the German-speaking countries, and we will try to make the same effort during the whole year. So in the next year, we will be trying to get the best speakers, the best presentations, case studies from those countries to create the program for the next edition. I would like to thank, because I think it's the only time that I have to do that, to all of those who have been here and have helped, and all the team that has made this possible. There have been more than 20 people working and meeting every week. And there's been people preparing the logistics and so on. I want to thank Joan Ignasi Soldevilla for being so patient and for working in a lean methodology on a weekly basis to make this Congress come true. Also, I would like to thank also the Building Smart Spanish chapter for their support. And the only thing it would be left to thank is that we are going to announce, or we are going to move on to a new part of our EBS, which are the BEAM Awards. So now Jordi Gonçalves has the floor again. He will be announcing the winners and presenting all of them. Thank you to all of you for sharing this time with us.
Hola de nuevo.
Hi again. The organizing committee of the EBS 2017, who met in April 26, 2017, passed unanimously to award the first edition of the European BEAM Summit Award 2017 in order to highlight and to recognize and acknowledge the best initiatives to boost and promote a digitalized industries sector and the use of BEAM methodologies to the following institutions and organizations. The EU BEAM Task Group, as an acknowledgement of this award, the committee has especially recognized the continuous work pioneer in the promotion and implementation in an orderly and harmonized manner of BEAM in Europe as a tool to improve competitiveness of the construction sector and to increase efficiency of the life cycle of projects. Also, to the European Commission and the Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs. In this case, we considered the promotion of collaborative culture between the different stakeholders, supporting SMEs, facilitating with the use of 3D modeling technologies in a transparent environment, and optimizing public resources, private and natural resources. In order to award or to formalize this award, I would like to ask to the Honorable Meritxell Borràs, Councillor for Government, Public Administration and Housing of the Catalan Government, as well as Mr. Adam Matthews, who is the chairman of the EU BEAM Task Group, who will be accompanied by Mr. Jorge Torrico, who is the national representative in this task group, as well as Ms. Elisabeth Hamdouche, representative of the European Commission Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs. So please.
Ruego a los premiados, si
I please ask the people awarded if you want to just say a few words, please, you're welcome to do so.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hello, good afternoon.
This is a fantastic event. I was here last year and it's grown year from year. I can see it's got not only huge interest here in Spain, but quite incredible reach across Europe and the world. So congratulations to the team for this. So it's a great honor to receive this first award from the European BIM Summit on behalf of the EU BIM Task Group. I have a few thank yous to make as well. It's great to be here with the Minister herself and with the European Commission and colleagues of the EU BIM Task Group as well. You heard from Jorge earlier on today talking about the goal of the group is to create alignment. And what does alignment give us? Well, alignment really reduces confusion and it reduces waste and unnecessary costs, and that's really what we're trying to achieve. Yes, we're promoting its introduction within the public client community, but we're doing so from a common framework perspective to improve the quality of the environment. So how far could we actually go if we align together? Well, the Boston Consulting Group have just issued a report last month that estimates that, or forecasts rather, that the introduction of BIM could generate between 15 to 25% savings across the construction sector. This is quite an incredible opportunity that we face. The prize is big. It's very big. A 10% improvement in Europe, in our European construction market, would deliver something like 120 billion euros of savings. That's huge. It's equivalent to something like 3,000 schools, 14,000 hospitals. It's a quite remarkable opportunity. This figure could be quite small when compared with the climate change agenda, the resource efficiency agenda, circular economy agenda. These could be even greater. So I ask you to join us, work together. This is a public sector and private sector initiative. Work together to be competitive and create an open, digital, single construction market, one that leads the world. I'd like to just make a few thank yous as well, just very quickly. I wanted to thank, this has been a huge team effort, as you might well imagine. Across 22 countries, we have 60 representatives in our General Assembly. And I want to pay a special thank you to the steering committee who've helped develop the handbook that I'm sure you heard from Jorge earlier. This has been a steering committee, including Spain, of course, with Italy, Germany, France, Netherlands, Sweden. I knew I'd forget one. UK. And I think one other. Spain, I did say Spain. Estonia, there we go. So it's been a huge team effort, and I wanted to thank also the European Commission, especially for their support, not only their funding, but the way they've hosted us, having translators. Our last General Assembly had 7 translators, so we could all understand each other very clearly. And I'd also like to acknowledge, if you'll allow me to, the UK government's financial support to this initiative as well. So, muchas gracias. Thank you very much to the European BIM Summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will be very short. First of all, I would like to pass a message of congratulations for the excellent work that you have done on promoting BIM that was demonstrated here with the successful summit that you organized. BIM has a huge potential for the construction sector, which has repercussions on many other issues to make our economies get a new stimulation, to get jobs, make the construction sector more efficient, but it can also contribute to sustainability objectives, resource efficiency, as mentioned before. So I don't want to repeat all the messages about the big potential that BIM has that you have heard over the last days, but I want to congratulate you for the efforts made. The European Commission has recognized the importance of BIM and has done this also at political level. In November last year, it has adopted a political document that focused specifically on the clean energy transition, but it had a very important chapter on the construction sector. Because, as I mentioned before, the construction sector has an important link to societal challenges that we face. And this also includes concrete actions for BIM, which means that the Commission gives its renewed and extended support to the BIM task group, but also that we work more intensively on accompanying people to adopt it, to disseminate it. And this includes public authorities, but also industry. And when I talk about industry, I want to put a very special emphasis on SMEs, because we want to make sure that BIM is also an opportunity for SMEs, so that SMEs can also participate and benefit from it. The second main message that I want to pass is thanks. Thanks for the award. Thanks for the recognition to the work that you have given us. So a big thank you on behalf of the European Commission. And a big thank you also to the work that was done by the BIM task group, and special thanks also to Adam Matthews for the excellent energetic drive that he has to bring this initiative forward. So it's really a joint effort. We are now, well, we did already a lot of work, but actually we are still at a kind of starting point. And now that the guidebook is almost finalized, that was mentioned before, that you launched the observatory, there are lots of new things to come, and now it's really about implementing it and disseminating it. So I will bring back the award to Brussels and share it with everybody who dedicates their efforts to BIM, so that we continue together to making this a joint success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your words. And ahora
And now the Honorable Councillor will award this EBS award.
Thank you very much. Ahora,
And now the Honorable Councillor of Housing and Governing will actually close this European BIM Summit.
Bon dia a tothom.
Good morning, everyone.
Pocs dies
Last year,
després de ser nomenada
just a few
consellera,
days after I was
aquest congrés. Aquest any,
appointed councillor, I opened this Congress. This year, I was asked to close the Congress, and I've been told it's been a very successful process. I'm sure about it. It's been a great place to exchange information, to convey experiences, and for this reason, first of all, I would like to thank the organizers. Especially,
d'una forma especial al lideratge
I would like to thank the leadership of the CATEP, the Quantity Surveyors, Technical Architects and Building Engineers of Organization of Barcelona, and especially its president, Mr. Jordi Gonçalves, who there's no doubt he is a driving force, an inspiring force of all these things. I also would like to congratulate the people who have been awarded of this first European BIM Summit Award. Congratulations. We were able to tell you that in person, but we also want to acknowledge that publicly and congratulate you for this success. We also want to congratulate the European BIM Task Group and Mr. Matthews for his team, and also for all the effort and work they have put into this. Only about 3 years ago, this EBS was born with two goals and two challenges. On one side, they wanted to talk about BIM so people knew about it, and then on the other side, they wanted to implement and develop it. Now, on the third edition, we can affirm that this has consolidated as a reference forum for the sector. BIM is a true revolution for the construction sector. We are leaving behind a traditional design system which is based on the drawings, and we move forward to a simulated model that actually incorporates geometric information, timing, costs, environmental information, and even the future maintenance. For this reason, the different public administrations want to move it forward, and we want to implement this system. BIM goes beyond design. It also covers the project implementation and also the life cycle of the building. And there's no doubt that this is key so that we can have a great control of costs and implementation of the project. You've talked largely about this during these 2 days. You have exchanged experiences. You have also acquired new knowledge that has also posed new challenges. In the opening session, Mr. Rull talked about the importance that we grant to BIM and also the projects that are championed by the Catalan government that already include BIM and have included BIM for a while. So you've been talking about BIM for a couple of days, and for this reason, I will talk about something else too. And I'm sure that you know way more about BIM than I do. Over the past few years, we have seen many positive changes so that we can have a greater urban sustainability. We have done some investments in technology. And last year, I actually mentioned that the world population goes over 6 billion people, and that 50% of the world population lives in urban areas, 54%. This will reach 70% by 2050, according to the last UN forecasts. Seeing all this information, it seems obvious that all the governments need to work together to define what actions need to be undertaken so that we can redefine the human habitat, and while we do this, we can slow down global warming. Also, the collapse of biodiversity, the loss of desert habitat, and also we can fight against social and environmental injustices. We live in a planet where resources are limited. Our footprint in the planet, our ecological luggage is very high, and it can be even higher if we don't really put effort in ending this situation and reverting it. For this reason, urban planning, urban design, also building and maintenance are vital, because depending on how we define these can be changing agents or they can just be a negative aspect. Depending on how we design, we improve and build our cities and territories will mark something that is very important. It will actually define how we can conserve and preserve scarce resources and how we can influence the life of people. Barcelona and Catalonia have always been present in the debates about knowledge, innovation, and progress. And we have done so by being very active participants in the third UN Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development. That's the Habitat 3 conference that was celebrated in Quito last October. There, the new urban agenda was approved. This is a universal framework that aims to define an urbanistic model that is sustainable. They also want to promote social cohesion, and they want to participate to fight against climate change. As well, they want to create a new energy and production model. For this reason, the Catalan government is committed to approve the Catalan urban agenda, and they want to have the largest participation possible to do so. Many of you may wonder, why am I saying this? How is this related to BIM? I think it's really related to BIM, because BIM is a work methodology that allows to project virtually some infrastructures or a building before they turn into reality. So for this reason, by doing so, you can determine the cost, the maintenance, and how things will go in a very efficient way. There are no surprises that are unpleasant. For this reason, BIM is targeted to control. It aims for transparency, collaboration, and efficiency in favor of the people. And for this reason, BIM is key in the sustainable development paradigm. When we talk about efficiency, we talk about transparency and savings. And public administration cannot really allow not to efficiently manage the available resources. Also, the citizenry cannot be affected by claim costs that are not foreseen. And the world, our planet, cannot really allow and afford to meet the requirements for the environment that we actually need to undertake. I am reaching the end of my presentation now with a personal anecdote. Some years ago, I was in a dinner with some important people from different sectors and areas, very well known, but from different areas, architects, urban planners, geographers, and there was a very interesting conversation. And at a specific moment, one of the people who was there said that by applying a simple vision, we could believe that the really high skyscrapers were possible thanks to the existence of the elevator, or also some technological advances such as steel, concrete, or the hydraulic bomb. But at the same time, he said that with a comprehensive vision, you cannot really realize that in order to build the skyscraper, you also need other things, public transportation, for example, the metro system, and so on. And those are as needed as the steel and the elevator. With BIM, you enjoy this comprehensive vision and view, and that's why this is indispensable. You, not only as the politicians and policymakers, you also have a responsibility in order to build and to change the way cities and the world works. There are no global solutions without local solutions. That's why I invite you to work together, as I think you are already doing, in order to achieve the great goals of the future, reducing inequalities, achieving sustainable development, and horizontal governance. Thank you very much, and I hope you really enjoyed this wonderful city, this country, our weather, our environment, our shops, our very nice gastronomy, and that you have been able to realize that Barcelona and Catalonia is very welcoming and will live the democratic process that we all carry on. Thank you very much.